All right, the top 25 has released and the net rankings have updated. I'm going to go through these really quickly for you guys since I made the last video so long. Plus, it's 50 degrees outside. It's been really cold here in Wisconsin. I need to get out there and feel some of that good weather, some of that pre-spring weather, right? So let's get right into it. Texas at number one, deservedly so. They faced three top 10 teams in a row, or two. Two for sure, but I think three. And they won them all. And so you can't really argue against Texas at number one. UCLA moved up one spot with a 2 point win versus Iowa. I'm not so sure about that because had they lost, they probably would be 4 or 5 right now. And so 2 points, does that really make the difference in, 3 or 4 spots in the rankings? Not in my opinion, but they did get the win. So I see nothing wrong with them being at number two. They can have that. Notre Dame drops 2 spots down to the third after they lost to North Carolina State. I understand they don't want to put them below USC since they won that head-to-head matchup. That was so long ago. Both teams have changed a lot since then. I personally don't have as much weight on that loss at the end of the season as I would when it first happened or even a few weeks after that. But, I'm not the one making these rankings. And I'm fine with USC being at number four, right? They're respected, but under the radar, which is a good place for them to be. I don't think that they're so good that they should be like favorited too much, but they should be respected as a team that can take it all. So I'm fine with that. UConn at number five. Look, the way that they beat South Carolina, I can't really say anything about UConn right now. They're playing in the Big East, right? The Big East sucks. We know that. They just beat Butler by 39 points. Nothing to see there. Haven't really won most of their big matchups, but to go in there and beat South Carolina in the fashion that they did, there's really nothing I can say about them at this point. South Carolina staying at number six after a good win versus Vanderbilt. That makes a lot of sense to me. I personally would have them above UConn if we're just looking at the entire season, but again, you can't ignore that head-to-head matchup and the way it played out. So it is what it is. LSU at number seven. 27-2 got a good win against Kentucky. I'm just personally not sold on LSU because they're lacking something inside. A lot of their wins against these big teams haven't been convincing wins, but they've held on and they've gotten the win. They're a much more offensive team than defensive, in my opinion, but they really locked Kentucky up in this last game. For me, it's a lack of an inside presence. And Anissa Morrow, she can score and rebound down there with anybody, even with players 6'4", 6'5". From a rim protection standpoint, they're lacking a lot down low. And when they face a team that can take advantage of that, that's where I think they'll run into some problems. But for now, they're good. North Carolina at 8, 25-4. They move up one after a win against Louisville. Louisville had just taken down two ranked teams in a row, so nothing bad I can say about that. Moving up one spot, that seems about right. I'm still not sold on North Carolina and a lot of ACC teams. We just saw Georgia Tech drop a game versus Florida State, so we'll see where they are if they even end up on this ranking. But yeah, North Carolina at 8, NC State at number 9, moving up 4 spots after that win versus Notre Dame. Party in North Carolina. It's a party in North Carolina. They're 8 and 9. They should be celebrating both of these teams in the ACC. So feel good, you guys, if you're in North Carolina. And if you are there, let me know. Tap in the comments and throw something in the chat. Let us know that you're here. Represent. TCU at number 10 makes a lot of sense in my opinion. I mean, they just really put the hands on West Virginia. They had nobody who could do anything with Prince, as a lot of teams don't. And so they're a top 10 team in my opinion. I still think that K State is a better Big 12 team, but they've taken some losses while Ayoka Lee was out. So I get it. I get it. TCU at 10, that's fine with me. Tennessee moved up 4 spots, 21-6. They're a team that, and it's weird because they are Tennessee, but they're below the summit line, which is something that I've talked about all season long. I've never explained exactly what it is. I will once I get done with this top 25. I've been promising you guys I'd explain what the summit line is. It's not that deep or that complicated. It's just my own little personal thing that I came up with. But at 6 wins, they're below the summit line. Even with the good win against Florida, I just don't think the Tennessee will go all the way. I think they'll be a very big problem for a lot of teams that are trying to go all the way, though. They're going to put somebody out that tournament. I'm telling you guys, they're going to upset somebody. Ohio State drops 4 spots. It makes sense. They haven't shown up in the Big Ten at all as one of the dominant teams. UCLA, USC, they've handled their business. When I look at Ohio State, I can't really clearly put them above Michigan State or even Michigan. They're too up and down for me. Cody McMahon, Jelani Cambridge. I like the way they're built. They're really constructed like a good team. They don't always perform like one. And so, yeah, dropping 4 spots, that's fine with me. Oklahoma moved up 3 spots. They're another team that's been up and down. A win against Arkansas, it doesn't move me at all. Arkansas, they had nothing for them. It was a 40-point loss. Moving up 3 spots, I think, is more a matter of who moved down than what they did to move up. K State, they moved down 2 spots. Me personally, I wouldn't drop them that much, like I said, because a lot of the losses that they have, well, the 2 most recent losses that they have, came with the Ayokali out of the lineup. But I just think they're a very well constructed team, and I will put them right there with TCU, honestly. Kentucky, they're lucky to still be 15. They are lucky to still be ranked 15th because they haven't shown up in the big games. They beat who they're supposed to beat, but when it comes to the big games, I haven't seen it. 21-5, also below the summit line. I still have faith in them as a team that can upset somebody, but they're lucky to still be ranked in the top 15. Duke, they dropped 5 spots, and rightfully so. Even with the win versus Syracuse, they've taken some losses to teams that they were ranked a lot higher than 21-7 on the season. To me, this is where I always thought they were, around the 16th best team, not in the top 10 at all. So that works out for me. Baylor moves up 2 spots to number 17. We've been seeing some Big 12 teams really doing well lately, besides West Virginia, that loss they just took to TCU. Shout out to Baylor. I like to see that. Maryland, they're starting to get themselves back together. They're up to number 19 now. Moved up 2 spots after that win over Northwestern. We all know they're a good team. We know what can happen when Kayleen Smichael gets hot. We all know about Cheyenne Sellers. And yeah, 19 seems about right. When they were, what, 8th ranked or something like that, 12th ranked, I thought they were a little bit too high. So this works for me. Alabama drops 2 spots. Man, Barker came back on a mission. She really came back on a mission. But yeah, they dropped 2 spots. Oklahoma State, Creighton. You guys know how I feel once we get past the top 20, right? You can throw anybody in these last 5 spots in and out. So Oklahoma State at 21, Creighton at 22, Michigan State, they dropped the spot down to 23. Florida State, Louisville, they deserve to be right there where they are. I have no complaints there. Georgia Tech just dropped out. South Dakota State. It's funny because I was just in the comments talking about South Dakota State and how they're a threat every single year. They're so well coached. So I love to see them receiving some votes, even though they didn't actually make it into the top 25. We have Utah, Illinois, Richmond, California, James Madison, Mississippi. Look at Iowa got a couple of votes. Harvard, shout out to Harmony Turner, and Fairfield are receiving votes. Now, before I look at the net ranking, really quick, the summit line. There's only been 4 teams in the last 40 years that have won a national championship that had over 4 losses, meaning 5 or more losses, right? And 3 of those teams were the Tennessee Volunteers, coached by Pat Summitt. The other one was Texas A&M. So for me, just statistically speaking, once you hit that 5 loss threshold, and obviously this year it's wide open, so it's probably not. We'll probably see this be broken, but once you hit that 5 loss threshold, that's when you've crossed the summit line, as I call it. And that's when mathematically I kind of push you to the side as a true contender. Only 4 teams, 3 of those Tennessee Volunteers under Pat Summitt. That's what the summit line is. So if Tennessee was the team to actually break that, it would be fitting. Now, take a look at these net rankings and see how they compare with the actual rankings here. And you see they still have UConn at number 1. And I have a big problem with that because they went through all the trouble of separating the teams by quads. That way they can judge the quality of wins and losses on the road or at home or neutral. And yeah, they're 4-3 in quad one wins. And so I'm just not understanding the way that they set it up, how they continue to keep putting UConn at number 1 when they only have 4 quad one wins, and 3 quad one losses. You look at South Carolina, 11-3 in quad one wins. And I know that quad one wins and losses isn't the only factor here, but it is a big one. And when I see teams that are 11-3 like South Carolina, 11-2 like Texas, 10-1 like UCLA, 9-2 like Southern California, to see a team that's 4-3 just sit at the top of the net rankings week after week after week, that doesn't really vibe with me, but it is what it is. UConn at 1, South Carolina at 2, Texas at 3, Notre Dame at 4, UCLA, USC 5 and 6, K-State. So apparently they're K-State fans too, as far as in that ranking is concerned. They have K-State at 7, which is how highly I think of them as well. Not Duke at 8 though. That ain't right. TCU at 9, LSU at 10, Tennessee at 11, which is right where they are in the real rankings, I believe, or the top 25 rankings, I believe. Ole Miss sneaking up there at 12. Didn't see that coming. Even though they were 13 last week, I didn't really see that coming. West Virginia getting a lot of love in the net rankings. Oklahoma, all right. North Carolina at 14, at 15. They swapped places with Oklahoma. That makes sense. That makes sense. I would still put Alabama at 16, NC State at 17. Okay, Ohio State at 18, which is how I think of them as well. They were only 19th last week, so they moved up one. Just never looked like a number 8th ranked team, in my opinion. They were lucky to be ranked that high, but that works out. We see here Utah, well, Baylor at 19. Let's not skip past Baylor. Utah at 20. Now we have Michigan State at 21. Kentucky at 22. And so they're not too high on Kentucky, apparently. And I shouldn't be either. They've let me down every big game. I just love the height that they have. Plus Georgia A. Moore running the show and Deja Lawrence as a secondary guard. I think they have all the ingredients, but they just don't actually cook it well. Now, do we look at the coach? Or do we look at this is just a newly constructed team with a lot of transfers coming over, even though they're familiar with the coach? It's pretty much a newly constructed roster, so I'll give them some grace. I can't really complain about too much on this net ranking besides the fact that UConn is number 1. I think that Ole Miss being 12 and 13 is really surprising. But other than that, everything else really checks out in my opinion. Really nothing I can say. I think Michigan is still being slept on a lot, but I'm pretty sure they're fine with that. Michigan's being slept on. Maryland being 27 is shocking. I think they're a lot better than that, but it is what it is. Yeah, they're 5 and 4 in quad one wins, but hell, if you can be 4 and 3 and be the top team in the country, what does quad one wins even stand for at this point? So I don't know, but when you go on the road and you beat South Carolina by as big of a margin as they did, I can see how that factors in as well. I'm just still not I'm not sold on some of these net rankings, to be honest with you. You kind of number 1. I don't buy it, but that's just my opinion. You guys let me know what you think. Let me know if you think the rankings are right, who you think should be moved up or down. Do these rankings even matter once we get into the seeding, which we're one game away from the regular season being over with for a lot of teams and getting into some of these conference tournaments, even though these top teams, most of them will have buys. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to get out here. I'm going to enjoy some of this weather. Hope you guys do the same. Catch you on the next video.